Greetings, one and all. This is Simstress, and I'm here today with the exterior build of the Gray Sisters home. Some of you have expressed a lot of interest in seeing the house and hearing the backstory of the Gray Sisters, and I really appreciate everything that I've heard, all of the compliments, all of the wonderful comments on our channel, well, my channel, and I'm really happy that we've gotten so much support for this mother-daughter collaboration. Sorry, I'm a little bit tongue-tied, but it's been a while since I've done a voiceover on a build, and I figured this would be the perfect one to do that with. So you can see I went through a few different iterations of how I wanted this to be fancy. I kind of had to make it kind of a signature fancy style because my daughter added that gold fence, so it needed to look opulent. I was going to go with more of a homey look because I've built so many huge mansions recently and huge venues, but here you have it. We've got this two-story kind of boxy kind of home, which, you know, that's fine. Boxy's fine. And I put those nice solar tiles up there, even though it's kind of a more, oh, and goodbye to those panels, even though it is kind of a historic looking home. We're doing that eco-friendly thing. So anyway, you're going to see a little bit of my signature English garden in a little bit. Not too high of a foundation. I didn't want it to be ridiculous. Oh, and before I forget, I want to address the giant purple tree blobs with the green question marks. I went ahead and posted some photos of this remarkable looking landscape with all these purple trees on my Twitter account, and I got several comments. People thought I was doing something terribly wrong, but I promise you there's no CC in any of my builds, minus the Simstress's eyelashes and her LP. We really don't use a lot. So beyond that, really it was just a glitch, and we went ahead and did an origin repair and we fixed it right up. But before that happened, you're going to see as I build, it progressively gets worse, and you're going to see it encroach upon the house. So not only the trees, but all of the land is just progressively getting more and more purple and glitching out. Towards the end of this build, it's almost ridiculous. And I can tell you that I probably should have been more concerned, but I really was so focused on just finishing the exterior that I really turned a blind eye to it right up until we finished. And we did. We finished. Thank goodness. So this is going to be just the exterior today. I'm trying to use a few items that I don't normally use, like that door. Don't think I've ever used it before this build, but I figured it kind of bridged a gap between super formal and kind of a more homey, cottagey look, even though it still looks super formal. It's not one of the really, you know, like the Get Famous doors that I like to use with all the wrought iron details and stuff like that. Just a little bit more wood, a little more glass, a little more plain. I'm going to use, obviously, doing this little pool area. This was something my daughter really, really wanted. She wanted a huge pool, and it's basically the whole yard. So, but she also wanted my signature English garden. So I go in here and I put just a little taste of it in the corner. And I actually left pretty much all of that into the video. So all of the placement of every type of plant and flower that I used in this tiny version of that garden. If you recently saw my Lovebird Paradise build, you saw lots of garden, tons and tons of garden. That whole lot is covered in English garden. Just flowers overrunning everything in these huge clumps of color. And we represented that here. You'll see that I did kind of a fancier window with shutters, but still has that homey feel. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Duchess's house that I built for the Alice in Simland Let's Play series, but it's slightly more modest. It's only 2 floors, 2 stories, and I wanted to keep this walkway looking somewhat modest. So I don't want it to be ridiculous, you know, marble everywhere. The back stairs are just slatted wood, you know, so it looks, well, right now they're gone, but you'll see me put those back and put just those wooden stairs in so that they can look somewhat normal and down to earth. And the back patio is really kind of normal and down to earth, just something that you'd expect some, you know, single girls to have. It's, what they can afford back there, but it's still a lot of fun and it's functional. So their backstory, getting to that now. There goes the land. Sorry if your eyes are melting out of your face right now. Looking at that when the lights come back up, you'll see. The girls, we've decided that their backstory is kind of elaborate and slightly tragic because they're so close and they're buying this house together and they're choosing to live together and share their lives. So obviously there's a closeness there that was brought on by something happening in their past. So Winter is the older sister by 1 year exactly. They're really close together. And, Mom was having a hard time that couple of years. But so when she was 13 and Autumn was 12, their parents went off on a trip together. Dad had a business trip. He had been pretty successful. They had a great childhood. And Mom opted to go on this trip. She hadn't gone before. And while they were gone, they were actually in a pretty tropical place. And they decided to go out on some kind of, those adventures where, you can pay for an experience and go snorkeling and whatnot. Well, the boat had some trouble. And a storm came along. And, well, the rest. So Winter and Autumn lost Mom and Dad at a very young age, and it was tragic. But they did have an aunt. Their mom's much older sister took them on and helped them get through high school and get their feet on the ground. They even went to college, and they got degrees, and they're really successful young ladies. Excuse me for not being able to talk today, but they are very successful. And they definitely have carved out their own little niche in the world as best friends, not just sisters. And so when this opportunity came along, they had some of their money. And once they reached 21, they were able to get access to that money. And this is the beautiful house that they commissioned. So they're actually hanging out there in the yard because they've already come to the lot to check it out. So you might see them right there in the front. So they're standing by, kind of waiting to be able to go in and just checking out the build. So I thought that was kind of a cute little detail that they were coming to visit the build and just make sure all the things were just how they wanted them. And they're just so happy about this new beginning for them. So they both have careers in place, even though they're young. They're now 23 and 22. Exactly 10 years after everything changed for them. And they're just thrilled to have this opportunity. So we're probably going to have a little bit of time to play with them after these builds are up. There's going to be the interior build coming up. This is quite a series that we've taken on. Just each of the girls, the shell, the exterior, the interior. It's all a little series of the mother-daughter collab. I'm not sure if Lily's going to be up for actually doing a Let's Play with these girls. Right now, she's very heavily into her Riverdale cast that she put together over many, many hours, painstakingly adding each detail while looking at photos of the cast members. So her 7 favorites are now in a beautiful penthouse apartment in San Myshuno, and she's having a great time playing with them. So it's nice to be able to share my love for the Sims 4 in particular, with her. She's also gone a little bit retro, and she's played the Sims 2 and Sims 3 games a little bit as well. She's been exposed to Sims for a long time because Mom is obsessed. So she's now really getting into it. That shell was only her second build. And she did a great job with the layout and the floor plan inside because I had absolutely no trouble. I did give a little input, but I had no trouble getting through all the furnishings. I did try to use things I don't normally use, like I did in the exterior. And I definitely accessed the nifty knitting stuff because Autumn is going to be all about her knitting and crafts and painting and arts, and she loves that. She's even into makeup. So she's very much the artsy, I want to express myself sister, where Winter is all about clothes and fashion, but she's also a lot about friends and going out and doing stuff with friends. She's the big social butterfly of the two, and Autumn is more of a wanting to stay home and craft kind of person. So she's been knitting. We've been kind of starting to play with her a little bit and flesh out her story. And the girls had their welcome wagon come already and just bust into their house. They've been enjoying their pool and all of the beautiful amenities that are in the home. And the inside of the home is very homey. It's not the very super richy rich that you would expect me to do in a house with a gold fence, for example. So it's very homey, very relaxing, very much a place where Autumn can sit down and craft, and Winter can have her big room and her pool and just entertain her friends, which we fully plan to do. They will probably have a lot of parties and such once they get going. So we will be doing a little bit of that probably before the end of this series of casts and builds, but we wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor of what's going to be happening with the girls. Not really sure why it was sisters. It just kind of happened very organically. So that's what we did. Here is the house complete, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, have a beautiful day.